Hello and welcome to the Spotlight Games podcast. It's review season, which means we have reviews of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope and A Plague Tale Requiem to discuss. And of course, we're still in October, which means Spooklight Games is here to stay for at least 2 more weeks. And this week, we're talking about urban legends and conspiracy theories in gaming history. So come along for the ride. Let's get spooky, y'all. Episode 55. You might notice, if you're live with us or if you're watching the video, you might notice that there's a face next to mine that feels like home. He missed a week because he was off getting married, but he's back. Our sweet dumpster boy is back to talk about video games with yours truly. Kamen, how we doing, dog?
Whew, Patrick, I'm a married man now.
Yeah, how's that ring finger feel?
It feels empty because I haven't left the house since we got back from the honeymoon. And so it's sitting behind. I feel terrible. I don't even have it on. But
wow,
as
we were already divorced.
Yeah, as we were discussing in post, my beautiful wife, she's dying.
Yes,
but she'll be okay.
Yeah,
tell the people, Patrick, she'll be okay.
She's gonna be okay. She has a Plague Tale Requiem, and it's not looking good. Doctors have a lot to say about it. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, so we got back from the honeymoon. Sydney got COVID, and which was like icing on the cake. It's actually funny. So there's been, at least for me, 2 confirmed cases of COVID. A third that is a mystery illness that was everything like COVID, and the test came back inconclusive. So it could have been 3. I think at this point that I'm
from the wedding. You mean?
No. This was a few months ago.
I understand now.
Yeah,
I misunderstood.
So I'm thinking at this point, I've like essentially have built up an immune system to COVID to be like, I can't get it again. I'll get sick tomorrow. Just watch. And I'll nail down every single variant that COVID has had. I will have achieved. I'm collecting COVID variants like fucking gym trainer badges.
I've got to catch them all. Really?
I gotta catch all the COVIDs. So yes, I don't think she's been wearing hers either. We've just been like dead from the honeymoon. But no, it was fantastic. The wedding was, honestly, it went off perfectly, I would say. Everything that I wanted, that's what it was. And so I can't thank everyone who's part of that and celebrated with us on that day enough. Shout out to the city of St. Louis, Chicago, Milwaukee. Milwaukee is absolutely fucking insane. If we have any listeners from Milwaukee, you guys are batshit crazy. I've learned something from Milwaukee, Patrick. So there's 2 things. Everything is covered in cheese.
Okay.
And everything comes with a beer.
Huh.
So here's what I've learned. Is I was like, when we first got there, I'm like, I ate this incredible steak cheese sandwich. It's like one of the greatest things I've ever eaten. And I'm like, there's so much cheese on this. I'm going to be so fucking constipated. And then they just start throwing beers at me. And then I'm like, no, man, I'm going to have beer shits for days with all this beer. But then I realized that the constipation from the cheese and the beer shits from the beer, when you combine them, it cancels out. It equals just one healthy digestive tract. So the people in Milwaukee, they got this shit figured out. The one downside is that city's cold as hell. We were up there, and sure, it's fall. It's October.
Sure.
Dude, it was already like 45 fucking degrees. It was like the high when we were up there for the 2 days we stayed. It's like, this is insane. How do you guys fucking do this? I'm looking around. Everyone's wearing fucking those big, like, puffy jackets and toboggans on, and everyone's screaming about Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, okay, he's got a shitty haircut. Why are you just get over it? Get a new QB. He's ugly. But I do have one story, Patrick, if you'll permit it.
I look. You spent all this time and money on a wedding. We have these podcasts. We got to talk about it, right?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's this band that Sid and I really like called The Eradicator. Now,
The Eradicator.
Yes, that's exactly how it goes. If you are a fan of Kids in the Hall, the old Canadian sitcom, like sketch comedy show, there was a skit called The Eradicator. And it's one of those, like, if you know, you know kind of things. But essentially, he is a squash player who wears a ski mask and runs around threatening all the other players about how he will squash them because I'm the Eradicator. And it is like one of the greatest sketch comedy skits of all time, like in history. So there's this dude who created a band called The Eradicator.
Wow.
He performs live in the squash outfit with the ski mask and carries around like a squash racket. And like it's his thing. And it's like this is like punk music, like very punk music. So we were talking a few weeks before we leave for the wedding, and we're like, holy shit, Eradicator's gonna be playing in Chicago the night of our wedding. And we were like, bummer, man, that fucking sucks. Like, we'd love to see him live. Like, we'd love the Eradicator. So we're driving up to St. Louis. For some reason, Sydney's on her phone and she's like looking up stuff to do, blah, blah, blah. Finds out the Eradicator is playing at a barcade like 15 minutes south of Milwaukee in this like small town called like Cudahy, I think is the name of the town. So we're like, okay, like, fuck it. First night in Milwaukee, let's fucking go. We're going to go see the Eradicator. So we show up to this barcade out in the middle of nowhere. Tiny little venue. Everyone in this venue is wearing like leather jackets, leather pants, like covered in like patches. Everyone's got like long hair, huge beards. Like these are like biker looking motherfuckers. We do not fit in at all. I'm wearing like a fucking bomber jacket, a backwards hat, got glasses on. I'm looking around. I'm like, yeah, we're going to get the shit kicked out of us here soon. So the concert starts up. There's like an opening band, and the second band plays. It's like a merch table. So we walk up, and the dude at the merch table is wearing like skinny jeans and like a golf like pullover. And he's got like this beautifully coiffed hair. Looks a lot like Camden's hair. Handsome fella. Looks just as out of place in this joint as we are, but he's running the merch table. So we're like, okay, he's probably tour manager or something. So we go up, we're like talking to the guy. He's like, so where are you guys from? And he's like, you know, we're like, well, we're from Atlanta. We're on our honeymoon. We saw the Eradicator was playing. So we were like, fuck it. We're going to be in Milwaukee the same night. We're going to go see the Eradicator. He's like, dude, that is incredible. Thank you so much. I'll let the band know. Like, that's really cool. We're like, yeah, no, like, dude, we're just excited to be here. Yeah. So like we get our merch, we get a vinyl, get some t-shirts, do our shit. Eradicator comes up and starts playing. Absolutely just we lose our shit. We're screaming along everywhere. We're having a great time. He comes up on a song. He goes, the song is a shout out to some very special person who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But I love her dearly and very excited about our future and our family. But like, you know, this song's for her. This song is also for a couple in the crowd from Atlanta, Georgia, who are decided to spend one of their nights of their honeymoon coming out to see the Eradicator. This song is the Squash Queen, baby. And it's like one of Sid and I's favorite songs, the Squash Queen. And we just lose our absolute fucking mind.
Of course.
Because we get a shout out from the Eradicator. And all these people are like looking at us like, what the fuck are you doing here? There's like 30 or 40 people total in this place. Everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? And so after the show, come to find out the dude running the merch table was the Eradicator.
I was gonna guess that he was the Eradicator.
So he's the Eradicator. So we walk up and we're like, he like comes, he's drenched in sweat. I mean, he's dripping in sweat. He's back in his normal clothes because like his final song, he's like, the final song is "Don't Follow Me, I've Got a Cab Waiting," which is like a line from the skit.
Okay.
And so like, he like darts through the crowd with a duffel bag and goes changes and runs back to the merch table. So like we go up and we realize it's him and we're like, dude, thank you. He's like, I don't think you're like this, like you coming up and doing this on your honeymoon and like actually wanting to see us play is like one of the greatest things that's ever happened to us. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like you giving us a shout out is like one of the craziest things I've ever experienced ever. And so my one that, you know, to finish the story off, let me say, because I know I've ran long.
No, keep going.
If you haven't listened to the Eradicator, go listen to the Eradicator. Follow him on social media. Go on to Instagram. I've got a video up of him playing their opening song called "I Am the Squash Man." Go. Just go to Spotify and search the Eradicator. If you like punk music, like it is just incredible shit.
I don't think there is something more on brand for you than having a honeymoon in Milwaukee, seeing a band called the Eradicator in which a guy wears a ski mask with a squash racket.
Yes.
That is true. Like that is peak Kamen, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it was very on brand for both Sid and I. The fact that this occurred was like the universe had aligned to like make this happen because it was his launch party of his latest album. So like,
wow,
like yeah. So it was even big, like even crazier. And apparently he owns the barcade. So like he's from Wisconsin. It was just like Absolutely insane shit. Yeah, man. It was awesome. Just an incredible experience. But
that's awesome.
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here on the Spotlight Games podcast, where we talk each and every day about video games.
I wish it was each and every day. I'd love to do a daily podcast.
I mean, we talk each and every day about
True. Yeah, no, we have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live, like John is, Rabbit128 in the chat. Hey, John. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there, so you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. It's October. We have 2 episodes of Spooklight Games left for 2022, which means we're talking spooky shit for 2 more weeks. Next week, we are doing our bracket episode to decide the spookiest game ever made with a special guest. Keep your eye out on socials. We're going to be talking about a little bit more about that leading into next week's episode. And you can find out all those things on socials by following us at Spot Games Pod on Twitter or Spotlight Games Pod on Instagram. And we're about to finalize the bracket. So if there's any final suggestions out there that you want included in the bracket, send us some electronic mail to mail@spotlightgames.net. Kamen, we had an episode of Save Trash Cinema come out today that I'm gonna plug.
Yeah,
because you weren't on it, because you were seeing the Eradicator getting a shout out in old Milwaukee on Lake Michigan. Look, you were gone. I was in control.
Like I said,
I took it into my own hands.
When the dumpster boy's away, the garbage kids will play.
Exactly. And so what did we do? We covered one of my favorite films of all time, the 2001 masterpiece hit, The Fast and the Furious. Is it trash cinema? I don't know. But did we cover it? We sure did. I actually, now that I say this in this exact moment, I totally forgot to present my argument why I think The Fast and the Furious counts as trash cinema. I totally forgot to do that.
We'll have an opportunity to do that later.
We'll have an opportunity to do that. But go check it out. It's me, my sister, Kiki, coming to the pod, making her pod debut, and someone that Save Trash Cinema Trash Crusaders know well, Jeremiah Parker Hobbs, as well. Kind of ran point on that episode, actually.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job.
Great job from
you guys.
Jeremiah.
Did great without me. I don't even need to be on STC anymore. You guys can just fucking do this without me now.
Turns out you're fired. He's almost certainly not listening to this right now when I sing his praises, and it's the only place I'm going to sing his praises because he's not listening. But hey, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. We got some spooky stuff to talk about today. So why don't we jump in and start as we always do with what we've been playing. Kamen, I have a sneaking suspicion you've played nothing because you've been on your honeymoon.
Oh,
but I would love to be proven wrong.
Oh boy, you get ready to be proven wrong because I actually played a little game called Metal Hellsinger.
Ooh.
So I downloaded the demo because I was like, we've got Gotham Knights coming out at the end of the week, and I was like, that's $70.
So many things coming out.
$40, and then there's God of War Ragnarok in a couple weeks. It's another $70, and it's like, okay, I just paid for a wedding and a honeymoon. Yeah. I am short on cash.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me try out the demo first and see what I think. Beat the demo. The game is super fucking cool.
It's great.
I don't know if it is one of those games that works as well on console that it would on PC because it is very much like an arena shooter.
Yeah.
But like, it's really interesting. And I kept feeling like I kept getting off rhythm, but then I would get back on rhythm. And like, with time and practice, and I feel like when you play the game in full, like in its entirety, like you stay on rhythm, like it gets way more comfortable to stay on rhythm.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just not very good at arena shooters as much as I am like kind of more linear stuff.
Sure.
Let me tell you, dude, when you're on rhythm and like the vocals kick in, and you got the music, it is one of the coolest experiences I think you can have in video games. So I don't know how long the game is for the full game itself. I don't know how much more difficult the game is quite tough, or it could just be that I'm not good, which also,
I mean, from the demo, I played the demo a few weeks ago, and yeah, it was tough for me too.
Yeah.
So either we both suck or it's a tough game.
Yeah. I think it's probably a tough game. Apparently you can, like, if you die, you can sacrifice part of your score to come back. So like you're not like, constantly just fucking up and you're done, which is like a cool mechanic. I think kind of lessens that curve unless you're really going for like high scores and stuff. But like when you're on rhythm and you're hitting and the vocals are hitting and the music is hitting and everything is coming together and you're just rampaging through, just switching guns, doing weapons, like doing a bunch of cool Doom shit. Like this game is cool as fuck, especially if you got your whole entire living room in hue lights and everything is just fucking red. And you got a nice sound bar and you got the music turned up and you're just popping like,
Yeah.
It felt good. It felt good, honestly. And because of the wedding, like I haven't played video games in a while, which is terrible. Not good for the host or co-host of a fucking video game podcast.
We mostly talk about news.
But no, man, I think the game's really cool. I would say if you have any, like if you're on the fence, the demo is free. So go give it a check. It's a very cool game. I think that there's a huge audience for shit like this. Yeah. And I think this would be a really fun game to like watch people who are really good at it like play, because I think that would be really
and the modding community. I've already seen Jazz Hellsinger where they make it to where all the music is jazz. And it's so funny because jazz and metal don't often share the same time signature. So like the rhythm is completely different in Jazz Hellsinger to Metal Hellsinger because the music is so different. So I thought that was cool. So I've been playing. I finished Silent Hill 2. We actually haven't really talked about this because we were gone. Silent Hill 2, what a fucking awesome game,
right?
Like, and what I was telling Mondo last week, which if you haven't checked out last week's episode, we had a special guest Mondo on. Go give that a listen. I thought it was a great conversation. Love Mondo, but I'm mostly shocked by how well it ages. Like it doesn't feel great, but unlike Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, it doesn't rely a bunch on combat. So like it doesn't really matter if it feels clunky running through a hallway, if I'm just feeling scared in this hallway. I'm not like trying to kill a bunch of shit. There's some combat, but it's like there's just enough to where it didn't bother me that it felt kind of like a game from fucking 98 or whatever. Probably a little after that. But I'm now in Silent Hill 3. I'm about halfway through Silent Hill 3. As of right now, I still don't have a ton of the story of. So I'm not halfway through because I don't have a ton of the story of 3 yet. It's not hitting the same spot that 2 was for me, but I think that it's going to get there. I just don't think I've kind of hit the turn yet. But I'm having a great time with it. So I should have that done by next week's episode. I've also, since last week, I've really not played very much. I've been a busy boy. But also right before we started recording, I played about 30 minutes of the new game Scorn on Xbox.
I've heard a lot of things.
Let me tell you something about Scorn. So for those of you who don't know, Scorn, it's been in development for a long time. Like it's been delayed. It's kind of, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt around it in the lead up to its release. Came out earlier this week or maybe late last week. And it is like a first person like puzzle horror game, but the graphical style I could only describe as like skinless chic.
It is. So it's H.R. Geiger.
Okay. What does that mean?
So H.R. Geiger was the artist who designed Alien.
Oh, interesting.
So, just imagine like the world of Prometheus, like that's based off of his artwork. And I mean, he designed the xenomorph. And so that's why it looks so like hellscape. If you've never checked out his artwork is insane. It's also very sexual.
Sure.
Which from what I've seen of Scorn also feels in a certain way like it's encapsulating that. How far in are you? Because
not far. So I'm 30 minutes in, and I think this is I've never had this experience in a video game before in all the years I've been doing this, where 5 minutes in, I'm like, ooh, I'm really interested in this vibe. Like I've never seen like a graphical style like this, because like when I say skinless chic, like my character doesn't seem to have like any skin. And like, it seems like I'm like inside a giant like alien intestine with, so like there's like no skin. It's like, it's fucking gory as fuck, this game. I haven't had like any combat yet. I don't know if there's combat in this game.
No, there is. Yeah.
Okay.
It is. I've heard it was from one of my favorite not streamers, but content makers. He described the game as a horror-inspired walking simulator, also first-person shooter.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, so I've never had an experience where I so quickly go from having no expectation of this video game. I just knew it was out and on Game Pass and I had 30 minutes. I was like, let me just have a peek so I can say something on this podcast. Going from no expectation to very surprisingly interested to completely turned off within 30 minutes. And the reason I'm turned off is actually not because of the gore and because like we've talked about on the other podcast and some on this podcast. I don't dislike gore. I'm just not a fan of it. Like if it serves a good purpose, I'm totally fine with it. But like, I don't need it just for the sake of it. I don't like get queasy by it. I just don't find it visually appealing. The thing that I'm not interested in is I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. And it doesn't tell you a goddamn thing. And like, there are games where if I'm in the right mood, I like that a lot. I am not in a mood in my life right now to have to figure out what to do in this very frustrating feeling game right now at only just 30 minutes, because I want to be told what to do. My brain capacity right now is like, I'm redlining and I need to be told what to do.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but from all of the reviews I've read about it and all of the videos I've seen on it, you have about 3.5 hours more. Okay. The game's 4 hours long.
Wow.
Which could be good or bad, depending on, how much time you have on your hands. The other bad part is that because it's so frustratingly opaque, I suppose.
Yeah.
On like what everything is, there's pretty much no story, and apparently the first initial puzzle is where most people just quit the game because it doesn't tell you what to do. And like this one dude was like, I really want to love this, like everything about it. I enjoy a lot of these aspects, but the first puzzle took me like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Of a 4-hour game.
Yeah.
To try to do this puzzle. And he was like, there was a moment where I'm like, I'm not going to finish this game. Finally looked up to see someone else do it so I could give it a fair shake. And he was like, and it doesn't really get any better after that.
Yeah.
And
that's like, not shocking.
Yeah. Like, and that sucks because like this game has been in development for so fucking long.
Yeah.
It's almost been in development for almost as long as Dead Island 2. So
fuck. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to pick it back up. Honestly, like you saying that there's no story, I'm like, oh, okay. Then I was hoping that there'd be some cool like thing, but if the thing is just it to be like a spectacle and like a puzzle, I don't need that right now. I'll just go play Portal. Like,
at least Portal has like a story.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't expect to like it. I just had some time. It was free. Wanted to give it a shot, and I gave it a shot, and now I know I'm not going to play it more of it. But we got some news to talk about. Not a lot of news. We only have a little bit of news today, Kamen. So why don't we jump
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
With Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Nope, you ruined it. This podcast, where you need to hit up all those extra people that we've got coming on to replace me all the time because I can't do this. If you're gonna play fucking Chris Pratt having diarrhea on screen as Mario, fuck that.
I mean, there's only one way to get into the news, especially the news about Mario, and it's with that pivotal line.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
I just hate it so much.
Let's start with an IGN review of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. No, that's the old one. Sparks of Hope. I'm a piece of shit.
Chris Pratt strikes again.
I blame no one but Chris Pratt. I wonder, did I name the? Oh, I just said Mario plus Rabbids. I was like, I wonder if I named the lower third Kingdom Battle as well. Like a piece of shit. This is from IGN. 9 out of 10 came in.
I'm not shocked by this.
And Dan is a guy who he can be tough. He can be a tough person from what I have read of his reviews. Mm-hmm. He seems to always kind of find things to not like about games. So 9 out of 10 from Dan makes me think that this is a really good game. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope takes the excellent tactical combat ideas of Kingdom Battle and runs absolutely wild with them. Its goofy characters still have the ability to bounce off of each other, but they're now free of the rigid grid and wonderfully customizable thanks to the mix and match sparks that give them new and reliably interesting powers. Between fights, you get to catch your breath in the large and brilliantly colorful open worlds, solving its light puzzles and being puzzled yourself by its oddball story. It's extremely gratifying to play an ambitious sequel that fixes all of the main issues I had with the original and then some. We also have one from Lowell Ball from Nintendo Life, giving it an 8 out of 10, another very good score. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope battles suffer from an imbalance between the vast array of options available and the difficulty, a stark contrast to Kingdom Battle's challenging, curated fights. That doesn't mean it isn't an enjoyable strategy game in its own right. The battles are less an evolution of what came before and more an impressive shift toward freedom and creativity that, unfortunately, can sometimes trivialize Curse's attempts to take over the galaxy. An extra couple of notches on the difficulty meter might have forced us to experiment and dig deeper to find winning strategies. However, Sparks of Hope shines in most aspects outside of these darkness bouts. Delightful little puzzles, quests, and memorable locales abound, which yet make this Rabbid-themed adventure a must-play for Mario and strategy game enthusiasts alike.
Hell
Kamen,
yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how hyped are you for Mario plus Rabbids
Like
Sparks of Hope?
like an 8.
An 8.
I'm
Is
an
that
8.
so that game comes out Thursday, the day that this goes live.
Mhm.
Is this a game that you're gonna get this weekend, perhaps consider, or is this one you're gonna wait for or never play?
No, I'll definitely play it. I loved the first one. I thought the first one was definitely an underrated gem, and it came out like at the kind of like the worst time because people were still like hyped up on Legend of Zelda and Mario Odyssey, and there's all this stuff already happening on the Switch at the time. And this kind of, and when you throw the name Mario on something, people immediately are like, "Oh, this is exciting." But when you throw the name Rabbids onto something, people are like, no, 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 I don't want this." They back off. Also, strategy is not a game type for me, but I gave it a shot because I was like,
Yeah.
fuck it, why not? And honestly, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting way. There's the learning curve at the end. There's like a difficulty spike at the end of the first game that was kind of frustrating. A lot of trial and error. But ultimately, I thought it was a great game. The reason it's an 8 for me is because I'm just not sure if that's what I want to play at this moment in time. Because there are a lot of games coming out.
Man, there are so many coming out.
Yeah, and so I'm hung up because part of me is like, do you want to play Gotham Knights? And I'm like kind of holding on to be like, maybe wait for reviews on that one too. And the whole reason is because just in a like 3 weeks we get God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the game that's going to be the holdover for me to get into that? And then, of course, it just plays a shit ton of fucking Rocket League and a shit ton of fucking Dead by Daylight, which more so I play those games because at this point, that's how I hang out with people.
Sure.
So, it's one of those where I'm like, yeah, like definitely this is going to be, I think, a perfect game for like over Christmas holiday, where I can bring the Switch with me to places and like I can still be engaged at the same time. Like I played the entirety of the first game in handheld mode.
Yeah, I think I did too.
So, it's one of those where I'm like, I kind of just like, I would just kind of prefer to kick back on the couch in handheld mode with a nice hot cocoa. Like this seems like a good comfort thing. So it seems more like I'll probably wait till Christmas on this. But I do think like this is if Gotham Knights is not exciting you, and we don't even know the reviews on that one, that game could be absolute dog shit.
I
Or if
assume they must drop tomorrow, but I don't know. Maybe not.
yeah. So that's a kind of a toss up. But like, if you're looking like if Gotham Knights is not exciting you, and you're waiting to hold off to Ragnarok, because I'm just assuming everyone like that's going to be the game everyone's ready to play is that one. Then like this is a nice. It's just a fun, cute game. And it's it'll probably be a very good holdover if you want to engage in what is potentially probably a 30 to 50 hour game from God. I'm assuming probably around 30 to 50 hours if I'm basing off of like if you do all the stuff or whatever. But no, I think this is great. But there is, Patrick, another game.
Is there?
There is.
Tell us about it.
This is a Plague Tale Requiem. One of the games that I was very excited about. So I'm going to start off with a review from Travis Norther from IGN, who gave the game an 8 out of 10, a very good score. says A Plague Tale Requiem is an impressive sequel to one of my favorite action-adventure games, up in the ante in almost every way. It doesn't do a ton to distinguish itself from its predecessor in terms of its actual gameplay mechanics, but with a depressing yet awesome story, fantastic graphics, and rat-filled moments that I'll never forget, this unique adventure very much deserves your attention. I certainly wish it were more ambitious with its stealth action sandbox and took more risks than it does, but it's still a worthy follow-up that left me with some great memories and a few recurring nightmares. Now, I got one more. This comes from GameStop. This is Richard Wakeling. He gave it a 7 out of 10, which is still a decent score.
Yeah.
But, Also, GameSpot, I always seem to see GameSpot just always is lower than everyone else. So take that with a grain of salt. Its stealth action gameplay is uneven, but has at least improved, introducing more tools for you to play around with and expanding in scope to provide more interesting avenues to explore when it comes to traversing past threats, both human and rodent alike. The rats are still its most memorable feature, bursting from the floor like geysers and in more numbers than ever before. There's a lot to love in Requiem, even if frustration is an all too common bedfellow when it comes to gameplay. There are better stealth games out there, but its unique setting, poignant storytelling, and rat-infested dread make 14th century France worth returning to. This is another one where I'm like, I don't know,
I think
man,
this also, it's either out today or it comes out Thursday. I forget which, but it's this week too.
Like, this is another one, but like, this is what I'm talking about when it's like there's so many games to choose from, and like I said before, I'm rolling off the hills of blowing all my money on beer and cheese and
there are also 2 other big games coming out this week. Today, Ghostbusters Unleashed came out, which is a similar style to like Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, all those. And Friday came in. Tales from the Borderlands. The new Tales from the Borderlands comes out. As I was putting the doc together today, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
What?
It's like,
how did I not know that the Ghostbusters game came out today?
Yeah. Do you think, I do want to talk a little bit about actually A Plague Tale, but because I brought it up, because I'm a naughty boy.
Sure.
Is that a game that like you and your crew are going to play? Your DBD crew?
Trying to rip them from DBD is so fucking difficult.
Yeah.
And this is really fair.
I'll tell you what. If you can get the crew to play Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, I'm in.
Okay. I mean,
unequivocally, I'm in.
I can definitely do it. We've got this Discord channel up that we all jump in. We do, and honestly, the Discord channel that we've got for gaming is getting so big at this point. We probably need to introduce a second game, just so we can have everyone still together.
Sure,
because I think the thing is like we're up to now where it's like on DBD. There's moments where it's like, okay, well, fuck, someone's going to have to sit out and spectate because we have too many people.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like we're having to rotate. So, which is cool. Like, that's super cool. And then you're like, and like I said, it's like hanging out with friends. So like Ghostbusters is one of those where like, presumably it's a 3v1. 3v1.
It's either 3v1 or 4v1. Let me look.
Yeah. But I think the one that like I'm most excited about because it's so much bigger is the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh yeah,
because that's what, like 5v3.
5v3.
So like that is gonna be the moment. It's gonna be like the scene from I Think You Should Leave when he walks down and he looks at the motorcycle. He's like, a motorcycle. Like that's how I feel when it comes to that, because like we need multiplayer games where we have private servers that can house that many people. But no, I think Ghostbusters, yeah, like definitely, like we're gonna have to, because I've been trying to get him to like get back in to do Evil Dead, because there's all these new characters and shit. But even that is difficult because that's only it's 3v1, so it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I need to start trimming the fat on my friends.
Apparently, but back to Plague Tale.
Yes, back to Plague Tale.
So I never finished Innocence, the prequel to this, the original game. Mm-hmm. But I'm not interested in going back and finishing it. So I might just do like a little YouTube video situation, because this game looks dope. And it looks like it's leaning more into gameplay focused than the last one, which was very much like just stealth focused, which I love a stealth game.
Which that was my biggest complaint.
Right. And I just got to be in the right mood, like similar to what I was saying with Scorn earlier, a game that's not going to tell me what to do. I have to be in that mood to like that kind of a game. And so I have to be in a stealth mood. to like a stealth game, but I'm in a stealth mood a lot of the time. I like being stealthy. I like being a stealthy boy.
I mean, I say I'm rarely in a stealth mood, but that's pretty much like all Dead by Daylight is like having to try to stealth around, because I like the only time I ever play as a killer is if we're doing a private server and I'm the unlucky bastard that has to try to kill my friends, which
sure.
I will say I got banned from being a killer for like 2 weeks. I finally got my first redemption shot last night because because
you were naughty.
I was toxic. I knocked him. So the whole thing is, if you knock everyone down, then they can't heal themselves. No one can get back up. And I did that.
But that's the point. How is that toxic? If that's
it's because like there's like unwritten rules. It's like baseball, like all the unwritten rules of baseball, like
no crying,
don't have sex with your teammate's wife. That's another big unspoken
rule.
I
mean, that's a kind of a rule in like life, but baseball is part of life.
It's also like don't bunt if you're up by 5 runs or something. There's like some weird rule, like you're not allowed to bunt if you're up by a certain amount.
Don't use trash cans to cheat and tell another team what pitch you're doing. Fucking Houston Astros cheaters.
I think that's actually an actual spoken rule.
Okay, that is a spoken rule. You're right.
So this is the first time I think in my life I'm actually rooting for the Yankees because I fucking hate the Astros that much.
Yeah.
Which was a bummer. I was really rooting for the Guardians. Yes, beside the point. Look, this is another game where it's like there's just so much other stuff, and I don't think I'm in the mood for this particular type of game at this point in time. But it is a game where I'm like, this will be one I will be playing probably in the next 6 months. And it's not even a price point at this point for this. It's like I really enjoyed the first one, and that was a very big shock to me that I actually enjoyed it because it's not a type of game I would. Kind of like Elden Ring, where it's like I don't like these types of games. So I think this is a really cool game. I think that the reviews for the most part are good. I think I might have one of the two of these games on my fantasy. I think maybe
I have Mario plus Rabbids. I think you do have Plague Tale Requiem.
Okay.
I think.
Well, I think you got the better on that one. I haven't updated mine. I've pulled an Evan this year and just was like, "Fuck it, I'm in 3 fucking fantasy leagues and they all suck."
I think I'm the only person that has touched my fantasy critical league. So if I don't win, that's on me. Then that's entirely on me. Terry in the chat. Hey Terry, how you doing, buddy? Kamen, I think it's time. I wish I had like a light cue so I could just like, wait, you actually know what I can do? Kamen, I think it's time to get spooky. Oh, you looked away. I turned my lights off. I got spooky. What happened? What's going on?
Hold on. I'm going to try to.
Oh, we're both in the dark.
Oh, wait, hold on. No, fuck it. Rest of it like this. Actually, it's probably bad for video. Nope.
Probably. It was a nice little effect. So I've pulled together, Kamen, and you don't know about any of these. This is all, you're a part of the audience for this, but you get to chime in. I pulled together a bunch of different urban legends, conspiracy theories. This was actually when we started this podcast a little over a year ago. We're in the middle of October, and Rose sends me this link. She's like, "Hey, you guys should totally do this on the podcast. It's October. Sounds like a fun thing." I was like, Rose, I don't even know how to upload like episodes yet, and we're 3 weeks in. Too much for me. But here we are, a year later. Spooklight Games is a hit. Asterisk, according to me. So why don't we talk about some urban legends, some conspiracy theories, some spooky stories in games? How does that make you feel, Kamen? You ready to jump in?
I am ready to jump in. Have you ever heard of the YouTuber's name is Oddheader?
Oddheader. I've never heard of this person.
So he does similar things where this is where he covers are conspiracies and Easter eggs. It's like a lot of what he does are Easter eggs. Very interesting stuff. So I'm excited to see if there's anything on here that I might actually have some insight on.
I hope so, because this is by far not a comprehensive list. I just pulled some ones that jumped out to me. Not all of these are even spooky. Some of them are just like urban legends aren't always spooky, but I think they're interesting. And but there are definitely some spooky ones here. But let's start off with a franchise that's near and dear to our hearts, Kamen. Pokemon.
Okay.
This is a conspiracy theory. This falls under the conspiracy theory umbrella, because there's kind of two umbrellas to this topic. This is a CT. Conspiracy theory. Pokemon Red and Blue takes place at the end stages of a large-scale world war. This is according to Complex. So a few of these I'm pulling from this article that Rose had sent me last year from Complex. Pokemon is a title that seems to be steeped in historical conspiracies. Pokemon Red and Blue was a massive success for Nintendo, but between training your Charizard, did anyone bother to ask, where the hell are the adults in this game? As Ash, you travel across the Kanto region with deadly, barely controllable wild animals crammed into questionable living conditions. The larger question of where all the male adults have disappeared to lends credence to the theory that Pokemon actually takes place at the end of a large-scale global war, which has forced several changes in the world of the Pokemon society. One of the biggest clues to support this theory is that both Ash and his rival Gary have no male parent figures throughout the game. That I don't know that necessarily means that we're in a war, but how about this next part, Kamen? The trainers who send their winnings back home are all children or very young. Cops and nurses are all female. There's not a single male cop or medical attendant in the game. And men you encounter you only ever see a man as one half of Team Rocket. Another large clue is so I guess here's one other. Another large clue is the Vermilion City gym leader, Lieutenant Surge, a clearly damaged veteran. Adding one more piece of legitimacy to this theory, right before you battle Surge, Surge states, quote, "You won't live long in combat. My electric Pokemon saved me during the war," alluding both to a past conflict and possibly a current war Ash may be forced to participate in. Kamen, I ask you the question, do you think Pokemon Red and Blue takes place toward the end stages of a world war in the world of Pokemon?
I hate this so much, I hate this so much. This feels wrong, Patrick. I feel bad inside, Patrick.
Like some of the things, like just because Ash and Gary don't seem to have a father, like that doesn't mean we're at war. But like the fact that the only two men you see are half of Team Rocket and Lieutenant Surge, and Surge is talking about war.
Pokemon Red and Blue, correct?
Red and Blue, yep.
So this, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily or technically true, right? Because Professor Oak is a man.
Great point.
And then you also have like correct me if I'm wrong, but you also have like the karate guys are all men.
The karate guys.
They always use fighting type Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'll have like the hikers who are also men. But you know, you could the karate guys could be like, I would say they're like, we're abstaining from war because this is spiritual, but they'll beat the fuck out of an 8-year-old boy. Like, okay, sure. But then hikers, I mean, let's be honest, hikers are all fucking weird. So like,
sure, they're evading the war. They're
evading. Like, look, if you would dedicate your life to one of your pastimes being that you walk, like, there's something wrong with you. I don't trust you.
Correct.
I don't trust you.
You know, total bullshit. That's not true.
100%.
But
yeah, I don't like
interesting that
I hate it, but I like it, but I also don't believe it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a through line with a lot of these in that they all kind of happened before the internet was like super prevalent. So like, and what I mean by that is like there weren't things like YouTube, there weren't things like all these kind of websites that like information wasn't as easily accessible, right? So they would go on message boards and like rumors would spread. So I thought that was interesting. So this next one, we're still in Pokemon. This one I find just fascinating.
Okay, I think I might know where this one's going if we got Lavender Town pulled up.
Yeah, so this is the Lavender Town Syndrome conspiracy theory / this kind of falls under both, but more so urban legend. Back in 1996, Pokemon Red and Green was slotted in nearly everyone's Game Boy around the world. Ironically enough, the Japanese weren't a part of that statistic. When the game first dropped in Japan, it was supposedly linked to a massive spike in child suicides and illness. Children from the ages of 7 to 12 were either falling sick or taking their own lives outright. Were they now? The most bizarre thing about the incident was the children did not fall ill or commit suicide until they reached Lavender Town. Many think the town's score was the cause of the ailments. The town-specific music caused nausea and eventually suicidal tendencies in children. The music was eventually changed before it was shipped abroad. The above clip is taken from the original suicide-inducing version of the game. So this is the music that they speak to that supposedly caused children to kill themselves.
Well, good news is we are very much an R-rated podcast, so.
Yo, ha, it's your boy, Young P, on the mic. I'm in Lavender Town, y'all. Ha. Like, here's the thing. Objectively creepy.
Oh, horrifyingly creepy.
Like, let me actually keep it going, but just turn it down a little bit. Like, this is a creepy song. But for people in 1996 to actually believe that children were killing themselves because of this music, so much to the point where when this came to America, they changed the music.
Okay, but I think your headspace is in the wrong place, right? Because you have to think, Patrick. We also have the Satanic Panic during the 80s, where there was literally no link at all whatsoever to any sort of satanic cults or anything. But we created this false reality. People like to latch on to shit like this. Would as a child, would I kill myself if I heard this song? I don't know, maybe. I was a pretty fucked up kid. I don't know. I do love that song though. Like it's terrifying. And even the song they changed it to is terrifying.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I should have pulled that one too. But I find it so funny that people believe this shit. Like, yeah, Terry in the chat. Okay, if I had to listen to that for longer than 20 minutes, I'd feel a certain kind of way. I mean, it is definitely like it makes you a little uncomfortable. But I don't know.
We all can't. All of our children's games just can't have an entire soundtrack made by Whitney Houston.
I mean,
did that video where the girl said, "Is that Whitney Houston?"
What a great video!
That's such a good one.
Such a good one. Okay, number 3 on this list came in. The Hell Valley Sky Trees in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Have you heard of this? Have you seen this?
Yes, I have. I know.
Okay. So, less an urban legend or conspiracy theory, Super Mario Galaxy 2 features a pretty weird mystery that no one has ever really been able to solve. In the World 5's Shiverburn Galaxy, players can at any point enter their first-person mode and look up into the background. Visible on top of the mountainous landscape that makes up the skybox are 3 strange figures, a tall figure standing next to a short one, and another figure a short distance away. A fourth one is present and right next to the third, though hidden by the textures of the canyon's edge that crops them out. In the World S, which is the final level of the game, the 4 figures once more returns in the Grandmaster Galaxy, precisely in the Pool Star area, which uses the same environment and background of the Shiverburn Galaxy. The figures are visible from any point in the level, but they never move and can never be interacted with. Not only that, but no other characters acknowledge their presence. They appear as large, lanky black creatures with creepy hole-like eyes. Some have long arms, some don't, and their height also appears to vary. They're also far larger than the player character. Why they're just creepily observing the player is currently unknown. There are some theories, the most believable of which being that these figures are either Kodama, which is tree spirits from Japanese folklore that very much resemble the Hell Valley Sky Trees, or that they are skinwalkers of shadow people from folklore that originates in Hell, California. I have some B-roll that I'm going to pull up. But Kamen, have you seen these fucking creeps before?
Yeah, they're terrifying as hell. And there really is. Like, this is it. Like, no one's ever been able to confirm like what the fuck is going on. They're just off in the distance.
Fucking creepy.
Yeah, just hanging out. Like, you can't.
Like, if I saw these little fuckers when I played Mario Galaxy 2, I would have been spooked.
Yeah, no, like you really have to try to search for them too, which makes it even more creepy.
Right.
Like, it's not just something that like it's looming over in the distance. You're like, oh, look at that creepy thing. It's like, wait, hold on. I have to angle the camera up from a certain place. So then the question is like, was it added in specifically there so that like it was going to be part of something? You would figure this out. Like, was it cut late in development, but there's still, or was it like a developer joke? Like they threw this in for shits and giggles. I don't know, but you know what? Let me tell you, it's spooky, and I don't like it.
I don't like it one bit. I was watching this video about it where someone was like doing math to figure out like how big these things are based on like the distance and how big you can see them from your perspective. And he concluded that they're like hundreds of feet tall, like in order for them to be that big in the view. And I was like, okay, that's enough. I don't like this one bit.
So then it definitely doesn't, like, at that point, like There's no way that they built these 100-foot tall creatures just to put them over that you could like. You have to know that they're there to be able to even see them, and then be like, yeah, this is like. Someone had to design them and like do that, so like it was like an Easter egg for some reason.
Yeah,
so,
or I wondered if maybe there was like a plan for like some sort of a level where they were more prevalent that just got cut or something, because there's also something that Complex, because I'm pretty sure that was from Complex 2, doesn't mention last year, because this was written well before last year. Last year in a Nintendo Direct, and the WarioWare game that you let me borrow, there's a mini game where something very similar to this appears in the game, but like very prevalently. Like it's this game with like a windmill, and you like spin the windmill and it like pops up and it's really big. And they think that it's like the same thing. It just kind of looks a little different. So I don't know. Weird shit.
Weird.
This one is just a fucking weird coincidence that I thought was worth mentioning. So Fallout 3, you heard about this video game, Kamen?
I don't know. Doesn't not ringing any bells. Fallout 3.
Yeah,
It seems like something Todd Howard would have a hand in, but
it's pretty small game, pretty small indie game. So apparently there is a theory that Fallout 3 predicted the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the year 2010. And you might be like, what? Why? In Fallout 3, throughout the game, your radio interrupts you with some numbers and Morse code. The numbers in Morse code, when translated, reads 9454202010. Accident in the Gulf, several dead, oil spill apparently averted. Now, this game came out in like 2007 or 2008, one of those two. What's weird is that 2 years later, on April 20th, 2010, you might remember 4202010, April 20th, 2010, at 9:56 p.m. So this said 9:45-420. So they were off by like 11 minutes. But 9:56 p.m. is when the Deepwater Horizon oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico exploded, causing what is still to this day the biggest oil spill in the history of the world. It's kind of weird.
Can I posit a question? Can I posit a theory?
I've
My own conspiracy theory.
Yep. I think I know where you're going, and I believe it.
Todd Howard, Mark Wahlberg, knew. Mark Wahlberg, he's setting up his career that early. He hasn't really broke out on the scene to be like a major player. He's like, look, in roughly 10 years, I'm going to be in a movie called Deepwater Horizon. Shh, don't ask questions. Todd Howard's like, I'm not, because I'm Todd Howard. Nothing but air up here. Continue. And he's like, this is what I need you to include. And Todd Howard's like, why? He's like, I said don't ask questions. And Todd Howard's like, all right, fuck it. Just write it down. So he takes out a pen.
Yep.
He writes on the back of a Dunkin' Donuts napkin.
At the time, Dunkin' Donuts, not just Dunkin'. Dunkin' Donuts.
Still Dunkin' Donuts at the time. You're correct. Slides across the table. Todd picks up, looks at it, and goes, it's in the game. And Mark says, it's in the game. And then they both look, and the EA logo pops up, and it goes, it's in the game.
Yep.
And that's it. History's made, baby.
History's made,
baby.
I am willing to bet that you are correct. Once we are done recording, will be alerting the authorities, and hopefully Todd Howard and Mark Wahlberg will be charged to the highest levels of the law and held accountable for these crimes. Yeah.
You know, and then what we'll get our own Netflix original film.
Actually,
you will be played by The Rock.
Yep.
I will be played by probably Chris Pratt.
Yep.
And then Todd Howard will be played by Timothy Chalamet.
Great. Couldn't have cast
Mark Wahlberg will be Mark Wahlberg still, though.
100%. I really need us to contact Aaron Sorkin to go back and rewrite, reproduce, re-air the episode of The Newsroom in which they break the news about the Deepwater Horizon oil rig and bring this narrative into it, because honestly, they missed the mark. They did terrible reporting, and it needs to be fixed.
Terrible. Aaron Sorkin, you fucked it up, man. You should have just fast forwarded in time where we're uncovering mysteries.
Yeah. Fucking Aaron Sorkin. What a scumbag.
What a fucking loser.
God damn.
Because everyone's walking around the whole movie. Everyone's just walking at a very brisk pace.
Yeah. Fucking. Number 5. In the 80s, Kamen, did Satan, you're familiar with Satan.
I am familiar with.
Did Satan punish players of Berserk, a game I've never heard of. Way back in 1981, Kamen, 19-year-old Jeff Daly died of a heart attack soon after posting a score of 16,660 in the arcade game Berserk. 1 year later, 18-year-old Peter Bukowski also died of a heart attack moments after cracking the Berserk top 10 high score list twice in 15 minutes. Coincidence? Some point to the mark of the beast, 666, being in the score must be proof that Satan had a hand in the demise of the two teenagers. So this one interested me, Kamen.
Okay, because I have my own theories too, but I want to hear yours first.
Well, so it interested me because it's such a short little blurb that Complex wrote. And basically all they're saying is it had the number 666 smack in the middle of this score. They died, must be because of Satan. So I started doing my own research.
That's the first.
Yeah, I grabbed my monocle, my fucking magnifying glass, got my little fucking Sherlock Holmes hat, because I don't know what those hats are called. Got my little pipe. I called you up to be my Watson. And I said, I need to do some digging on this little title called Berserk. This is what I found. Peter Bukowski. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Watson. Peter Bukowski died of what later turned out to be arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysphagia. Dysplasia, excuse me. Let the record reflect. Dysplasia has been corrected for those listening and watching.
I've corrected it.
And he had a minor heart attack the week prior that went unnoticed, which I ask, can heart attacks go
Yes, my father had a heart attack and didn't realize he had a heart attack until like 2 weeks later because he still felt like shit, went to the doctor. They're like, hey, fatty, you had a fucking heart attack. You need to lose like 40 pounds, bud.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So friends were there with Peter when he supposedly... with him, and then supposedly reported that he had walked 4 miles through the snow to get to the arcade. So the exertion he put out, like to get there, is what caused him to have this heart attack because he had this disease that he didn't know about, this heart condition. So it's like, okay, not connected. Satan has nothing to do with this, Kamen. However, there's another death that Complex didn't report about that I uncovered. 6 years later, Edward Clark Jr. 6 years. Oh, fuck,
bro.
6 years later. Yeah. Satan is here. 6 years later, Edward Clark Jr. was at Friar Tuck's game room, which happens to be the exact location Peter Bukowski was in. Not the same location that Jeff Daly was in, but Peter Bukowski and Edward Clark both at Friar Tuck's game room in Chicago, which is where you just were, Kamen.
Jesus Christ.
Edward and his friends were perusing the games available at Friar Tuck's when they came across Berserk and noticed a few coins laying on it. They broke a cardinal rule of ye olde arcade game etiquette and supposedly used those coins for a few rounds. Shortly after spending the coins, another person named Pedro Roberts, aged 16, claimed the coins were his and they got into a fight. One thing led to another. The Friar Tuck fucking staff, I'm sure they had a cute little Friar Tuck name. Friar Fucks is probably
the
what
Friar Fucks. The Friar Fucks coin.
Had it on their little badge.
Yep.
It kicked him out. They're like, that's enough. But apparently, the tale goes, they didn't want to just kick these two kids out that are fighting, because you kick two kids out that are fighting, they're just going to fight in the parking lot, right?
Yes.
So they kick Pedro out. They wait a little while. They kick Edward out. When Edward leaves, they say, hey, Pedro went this way. You should go that way. What does Edward do? He goes the way Pedro went. Apparently, him and his buds, they're walking down the street. Pedro, allegedly, in this alleyway, waiting for him. They walk by. Pedro jumps out, fucking stabs this kid, kills him. Oh, because he used his coins.
Sorry, Patrick. I'm getting a phone call. Can I give you just 1 second?
Yep.
It's, okay, sorry. Oh, hello, Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries. Oh, you're tuning in right now? And you heard us solve the mystery of Friar Tuck's satanic death berserk arcade machine? And you're dead too? Terrifying. Well, thank you for calling me from hell. I appreciate it. I'll meet you soon, presumably. Okay, sorry.
Wow, breaking news.
Breaking news. Robert Stack from the dead died in 2003, apparently.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, just filled me on that little nugget. Didn't see that coming, did you?
What that little chestnut. So here I am thinking this got to be fake. Like,
yeah,
this kid coming out of a fucking alleyway to stab this kid who used his coins to play a game. Here's the thing, Kamen. There's fucking newspaper articles about this shit. This is real.
No fucking way.
Yes, Pedro was convicted of murder. As a 16-year-old, he was tried as an adult, convicted of murder, and was sent to prison for this crime. Now, was this little image that this website I found doctored? Maybe. I didn't go that far in my research.
I mean, who are we? Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries, who died in May of 2003?
No, oh, hold on. I'm getting a call.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Hello? Oh, this is Satan. Yes. Oh, you're with Robert right now. And Pedro. Or no, not Pedro. And Edward, the boy who was killed. Oh, my goodness. Oh, apparently he deserved it because he used the coins that he shouldn't have used. Wow. Interesting.
Motherfucker. You know what? He did deserve it, honestly.
All right, Satan, I'm recording a podcast. I got to go. All right, bye. Yeah, I'll call you next week. Wow.
Are you guys reserving my appointment in hell?
Shocking news for Satan to call me on the line. And I mean, I got to say, if Satan says Edward deserved it, did he?
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
If Satan says something, I'm like, okay, you're Satan, bro.
All right.
I'm not going to argue with you.
But it's truly at this point, because all of these to this point, fucking dumb and fake, obviously. But this turning out to actually be real blew my mind.
This is when you told me earlier, you said I've been so busy getting all of these docs done. I'm like, okay, like I don't know how we could be busy because we just rip shit straight from the web from the news.
But here
and here we are. We're
solving mysteries.
Honestly, I think that more work has gone into this episode than any single episode we've done of anything else we've ever done.
Probably, actually. I read a lot of shit online about this shit. But so all of these people, well, actually, so Edward died, Peter died. Definitely same Friar Tucks by those Friar Fucks is how they died. And so that's true. Jeff Daly, on the other hand, there's some question marks around Jeff Daly, the first one that was reported in this conspiracy. This website that I found a lot of this on, they kind of pontificated, they kind of questioned. Apparently, I've never played Berserk, mostly because I don't want to fucking die. Apparently, the score of 16,660 is a pretty easy score, according to them. And like the whole thing with Jeff was like, oh, he worked so hard, built up such a sweat that he died of exhaustion because he had a heart attack after beating this high score. And they were like, I don't think that requires that much. And they also couldn't find a Jeff Daly in the place that they said he supposedly died. So maybe the Jeff Daly story is not real, but the other two seem fucking real. So
crazy shit.
Let's talk about the government, Kamen.
Oh, fucking. Are we going to talk about, what is it, Polybius?
Polybius, uh-huh.
Yep. How did I know that we were going to end up tripping down a fucking rabbit hole? It's like a whole documentary about this shit.
At any moment, men in black suits are going to come in here, tackle me, because I'm talking about Polybius. So, apparently, the CIA's mind-controlling arcade cabinet, Polybius, struck in the early 80s. This is what they said. Now, this one I'm pulling from IGN. IGN had like a list of these two. It's no secret that many urban legends are just a hair's breadth away from conspiracy theories, and the tale of Polybius bridges that gap like few others. The story dates back to the early 1980s when arcade cabinets for a game called Polybius were delivered to arcades around Portland, Oregon. Players flocked to the weird new puzzle shooter that featured plenty of strobing effects and twisty visuals, which supposedly led some to experience mental health issues, such as hallucinations, amnesia, and more sinister problems. If that wasn't bad enough, the legend goes that the CIA was behind it, collecting data about the players of the machine and using brainwashing technology to infect the minds of young arcade goers. Though the legend permeates, there have never been any irrefutable proof that Polybius ever existed, with only a screenshot of the Polybius title screen upheld as shaky canon. Quote, Polybius makes games seem powerful, and it makes games seem kind of potent and mind-controlling, said Portland-based author Joe Streckert, who wrote the book The Legend of Polybius, to IGN. They really can do something to your behavior, and by making them seem powerful, that gives it a kind of legitimacy. Something that, as I'm finishing reading this, I realized this bit didn't mention, and you probably know from your understanding of Polybius. So correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm pulling from a different one. Apparently, shortly after, like, people started supposedly presenting these like side effects, men in black suits like came and like took away the machines, and like people were like,
Yeah. So that's part of the conspiracy theory on like why this whole thing has lived on is that there's not what there is to refute it is there are instances now where people are finding Polybius machines in the wild and they're like, I found this machine. And then people go back and are like, nah, dude, you just like you took an old arcade cabinet and you slapped on some shit and then they're trying to like push it off as real because people want this. And it's an exciting thing. It's like the whole Mew is under the truck. If you walk around the truck 1,000 times, Mew will pop out in the original Pokemon and you'll be able to get Mew. It's one of these, and I honestly, I love this part about conspiracies, especially video games, is there is a legacy here where people pontificate for so long, and all of this stuff also happened before the internet. Like this shit could be shut down like immediately now, right? Not back in the day, like you said before. You mentioned there, people on message boards and they're creating all these mythos about this stuff, and most likely it was some random dude who probably wrote into like Wizard Arcading magazine and was like, this exists or blah blah blah, and it doesn't.
Yeah. And also it was interesting reading some of these. So I was going to skip one, but I'll just kind of give this the spark notes on one, which was there's supposedly being a secret boss in Street Fighter. And the reason I'm kind of weaving this in is some of these, interestingly, almost seem like a tactic to sell. Like, so with this one, there was this whole thing that there was in one of the cutscenes of Street Fighter 2 in an arcade cabinet, they mentioned like Shang Long, who there wasn't a character named Shang Long, but it was like, you got to go fight Shang Long. But it was just like a translating mistake, essentially. But then people started thinking like, oh, where's Shang Long? How do we find Shang Long? And so to the point where like EGM posted like an April Fool's Day article about like, this is how we found Shang Long. And so then people are just throwing money at these machines, trying to figure out how to find Shang Long. So Capcom is just sitting back fucking making bank because everyone thinks that Shang Long is this guy that you can fight, but there is no Shang Long. It just was like a mistake.
Didn't Shang
like,
Long end up showing back up though in later games?
So apparently, in the eventually they added Shang Long in, like they added to the mythos that like Shang Long was Ryu's master. And later incorporated it into the Street Fighter comic. And now he's like, I guess, in the canon of Street Fighter, but at the time there was no Shang Long. It was like going back though. So one that, I mean, it kind of has that same through line of pre-internet. This was Diablo. There was in the original Diablo game, soon after it came out, in the late 90s, many players fervently believed there was a secret realm full of warrior cows. While there are cows you can interact with in Diablo, don't expect to get further than a benign moo. Rumors began to circulate that there was actually a way to access an entire cow dimension where you could slaughter a group of future hamburgers who have gone through a Planet of the Apes style evolution and are ready to fight back intruders.
Hamburger.
While this was initially just a rumor, it became a meme in the Diablo community, inspiring Blizzard to include a secret cow level in Diablo 2. By combining a certain set of items, a portal opens up and allows players to enter the actual cow dimension known as Moo Moo Farms, where the player will encounter Hell Bovine, led by the mighty Cow King. If only all developers took fan theories this seriously, or on second thought, maybe it's a good thing they don't.
There's also a sequel to this in Diablo 3. I don't think there's a cow level in Diablo 3. However, there's a weapon you can acquire that's like a rare, like super rare loot drop where it's basically there's like a percentage chance that on a hit you will spawn a warrior cow that will like the spirit of a warrior cow that will fight alongside you. Yeah, it's incredible.
That's awesome. Only a few more left. This one, I thought this one really interested me just because of culture. So there's a conspiracy theory, or rather an urban legend that Bigfoot was in GTA San Andreas. So whether it be in any of America's dense dark forests or in the fictitious hills of a video game world, people are hungry to find the mighty and elusive Bigfoot. In 2004, the mythical beast allegedly leaped out of a North American folklore and into Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Fans reportedly started seeing the mythical ape in the hills of Back O Beyond, claiming they had seen a tall, dark figure somewhere on the screen, only to vanish before they could get a good look. Rockstar has since gone on to say that there is no such thing as a Bigfoot in its game, but dedicated myth hunters still believe in its existence. The legend has become so popular in GTA lore that Rockstar went on to include a Bigfoot mission in Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare and even put a nod in GTA 5. There was even a well-hidden Easter egg in GTA 5 that let players unlock the ability to play as the beast, also that they could lumber around the city as an 8-foot-tall, 600-pound gorilla man, then hop into an SUV and run over some pedestrians. This one I thought was so fascinating because the myth of Bigfoot is so ubiquitous that people thought they saw Bigfoot in San Andreas. Like they just wanted to see Bigfoot so badly that they thought this fucking game from 2005 or whatever had Bigfoot in it when there was no Bigfoot ever in this game.
Well, I mean, and I think to their point though, there's so many weird like Easter eggs in Rockstar's game. So like for instance, I think it's Vice City. It's either Vice City or it might be what is it? Grand Theft Auto 4. If you go to the statue, or no, it's not Vice City. Why would it be so Vice City? In Grand Theft Auto 4, if you go to the Statue of Liberty, there's like a secret entrance you can go inside.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The Statue of Liberty has a beating heart. Like, so they're known for it. And that's not like they didn't just start including like Easter eggs like there. Like there's Easter eggs. There was like one I found that was super crazy. In Grand Theft Auto 3, there was a completely cut side quest in Grand Theft Auto 3 where you like have to do a series of missions for this dude named like Dark Nell. And he's like a terrorist, and part of your thing is to like wreak havoc on the city of New York, and like part of the mission takes place at the Twin Towers. And then before they released the game, 9/11 happened, so they had to go in and like completely remove this entire chunk. And they like still to this day are like it exists, and you can still see like if you dig through the files, you can still find his character model still in the game, like in the game files. And then they acknowledged that it existed, and basically were like, we're not going to go any further with that because, and there's so many things that have happened, like Spider-Man 2, I think it's Electro's Revenge, the sequel to the PlayStation 1 Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm.
The final battle takes place on top of the Twin Towers where you're going back and forth on the Twin Towers. And then fucking 9/11 happened. So they had to, so overseas, the game was released with the Twin Towers still there. But in the States, they had to like delay the game to like alter the way it looks so you're just on top of 2 skyscrapers. But it was like in game it was supposed to be the Twin Towers. It's still in like marketing material and everything. You can look up videos. It's wild.
That is
like,
wild. I love
crazy
that shit.
things that they've like had to take out because of like real world events too.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, their entire games have been canceled because of real world events. Like there was in I think it was like the 2010s. There was a whole Medal of Honor game that took place around like the Afghan war, and it just was completely canceled because they were like, yeah, no, this isn't going to fly, which like probably the right decision, but it was like 100%. Done. Like it was ready to go. And they were like, no, actually, never mind. That's a bad idea. This is a quick one. This is, I thought this was funny because this is something that I've like always kind of believed to be true, and it's actually not. So apparently blowing on Nintendo cartridges doesn't actually do shit. Anyone who grew up with cartridge-based gaming has run into the same problem at one point, and no doubt the same solution. You pop in a cartridge, and for some reason, nothing seems to be working. You take it out, you give it a good blow, thinking the problem might be dust in the cartridge, and presto, your game is working again. But was the blowing on the cartridge ever actually effective, or is it just something that made its way around the playground? Turns out, the trick made you feel like a genius years ago wasn't really doing anything. While the blowing gave our brains some sort of comfort, the reality is that Nintendo's connectors in the system could often wear out over time, especially in the original NES. But simply taking out the cartridge and putting it back in tended to do the job eventually. Though that didn't stop each and every one of us from taking deep breaths and fixing them ourselves like so. Got a little cartridge here for you.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
I'm shocked to learn that that's fucking fake. It didn't do shit.
You're adding moisture, so it's actually bad for the cartridge. You would like essentially fuck it up.
Like I did that a million times. I would even do like as we got older, I was like, ooh, what if you like if I put my shirt over it and go like through the shirt? Oh, that's even better. Something about only getting some air makes it even better. No,
Speaking of the Super Nintendo, I want to drop, and this is actually not or the Super Nintendo N64. It's not even an N64 game. I want to drop one of my own that you don't know about. Oh, you might know about, but it's on this list. Have you ever heard of Luigi's Eerie Shadow in Luigi's Mansion?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so there's a particular level, and I'm going to be reading this. This is coming from Screen Rant. So by far the darkest Easter egg in any Nintendo game is found within the spooky masterpiece that is Luigi's Mansion. The fan favorite game puts Luigi completely out of his element in a soul-inspiring and courageous way. Boo loves to play with Luigi's head throughout the game, but there are times when he goes way too far. During a scene where Luigi answers an insidious phone call, his shadow can be seen suspended in mid-air when in a certain camera angle. Though this could be very well the work of a glitch that was kept in the game, the eerie feeling produces still hits close to home. The camera angle is of Luigi literally hanging from a noose. Yes.
Well, what's it called again? Eerie Luigi? What would you call it?
Just look up Luigi's Mansion hanging shadow. He's ostensibly you have to like spin it. It's like the one from Super Mario Galaxy where you have to spin the camera at a certain angle and you just see like Luigi like swinging from a noose. And it is well, let's just put it this way, Patrick. It's terrifying. And
I'm pulling up the image right now, and like part of it, it's so like perfectly like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the way it's framed. That's what I'm looking for. The way it's framed, like you can barely like the head would be like behind the text, so like you kind of can't really see it, but like it looks like something's hanging. That's for sure. Wow.
Yeah. So
creepy.
It's just another one. So the question is is it a glitch or did Nintendo purposefully leave in the shadow of Luigi being strung up inside of an attic, which is awful.
That's just
Mamma mia!
From the man himself.
The man himself. That is terrible.
Terry in the chat. I'll continue to believe this is true. Ain't no way it does nothing. Going back to the cartridge. Totally. Definitely true. The last one. So I wanted to end with this one. This one is a little bit longer, but so the theme here, as we've said, this is all early days of gaming. I mean, the latest story of all of these would be 2004 when San Andreas came out. Everything else was most of them were pre 2001, 80s, 90s, etc. But this is and as we've kind of mentioned, it's a lot harder for these kinds of things to happen in the modern day because in the world of streamers, the world of YouTube, it's so easy to debunk these things. But a game that we've talked about several times on this show, PT, did something that I think no other game has been able to do, which is kind of create an urban legend in the present day. So this is like an entire article. I just wanted to read most of this because it's so fascinating. And then let's talk about it. And then let's get the fuck out of here. The circumstances of PT's release alone are almost enough to make PT a true internet age urban legend, a mystery game that fell from the sky and was secretly a demo for a Kojima-directed Silent Hill reboot. When Konami stealth released it as, quote, just some random free horror game on the PlayStation Store in 2014, it tapped into a feeling of discovery many players had never experienced firsthand. And with its uniquely intricate puzzle mechanics, the prestige of PT could not have been executed successfully in a world before Twitch streaming and message board sleuthing had become the norm. It wouldn't have been solved nearly as quickly and would have likely turned off a huge portion of players due to its obscurity. So quick pause. That is, I think, the nugget here that's so fascinating to me, that the only reason this worked is because of the present day streaming kind of culture. Because I mean, do you remember when this game came out? Like it was a craze for that week because I remember playing this game for hours trying to figure out even like what the fuck to do. And it was like the gaming community like got together to figure out like, what is this game? What do you do? How do you beat it? What is happening? But yeah, so to continue, Even at its initial launch, there was an air of mystery to PT that most games lack. In marketing, it's paramount to let the consumer know what your advertisement is selling. But even for a piece of viral marketing, PT was unafraid to remain shrouded in mystery for as long as it took players to complete it. The very first mystery of PT's legacy was, extremely appropriately, what is PT? Answering this very basic question required, as it turned out, solving the game's series of increasingly cryptic puzzles. To even fully understand what the game was a teaser for, that it was a teaser at all, players had to solve the game. And to do this, they would have to collaborate. Solutions to puzzles in PT required using unusual methods of control, like forcing players to remain motionless during a series of controller vibrations, or using the DualShock microphone to speak to Lisa. This specific mechanic ended up playing a role in the final puzzle solution on the Twitch stream, where PT was finished for the very first time. Once the attached trailer for Silent Hills was uncovered, there were still plenty of debates online just about how exactly you solve the puzzle. And the playable teaser, which is what PT stands for, still had plenty of hidden details to discover over time. Just last year, in fact, and this was published in 2020, it was revealed that PT contained a version of a town where it looks like Silent Hills would have taken place. It was just the skeleton of a town, never intended to be seen by the players, but it did provide around every corner that there were still some secrets to uncover, even 5 years after its release. So it kind of goes on to say that, like, you can't play it now because something that kind of cemented it in this like legacy of fucking weird urban legend shit is that in 2015, the year after this was released, it was canceled. Silent Hills was canceled, and Konami weirdly pulled it from the store. So you can't play this game anymore. The only way you can play this is if you happen to have it on your PS4, or if you fucking buy a PS4 online for like $1,000 that has this game on it. Interestingly, they actually did very recently, like as of last week, people figured out how to jailbreak the PS5 to put PT on it. But it's just, I think it's such a fascinating story that we've talked about, like I said, a few times on this podcast, but we've never really like kind of dove into why it was so fucking weird and cool. What do you remember of PT, Kamen?
So PT scared the absolute dog shit out of me. And I never actually got to the big reveal at the end that it was a Silent Hill teaser. Because I was too terrified to continue playing the game, and two, the game was just incredibly obtuse. Even then, like when it was big, like getting answers was still very difficult to do. Like it wasn't just like you can just pop on and you have a YouTube video to watch. It was so many things happening. I think one of the coolest things that has come out recently, and this was as recent as like the last couple months, is that Lisa, who is essentially the ghost throughout that's terrorizing you throughout the whole thing. She follows you the entire time. If you can break the game and are able to like keep facing forward but get the camera to spin, which they figured out, she is constantly behind you. Every time
so creepy.
you're walking, she's always behind you. Like it's little things like that. And here's the thing still is like, there's a chance in 5 years there will be more secrets that'll come out.
Probably.
There's going to be more little things that, you know, whether it's Kojima or whether it's, you know, some sleuthing people who are just sitting there fucking with this thing constantly are able to find like what you didn't realize is, you know, XYZ, that there's an entire game built in there that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And, like, that's why they pulled it from the storefront, is there's a game there. Like, who knows, like, what secrets are still left to be found in this.
So cool.
And there's like some of the other things I love too is that there's game developers who have teased, be like, look, this game's 10 years old and you guys still haven't found everything.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that excites the fan base who plays the game religiously or loves the game to be like, holy shit, like I have to go back in this game and continue to try to figure out where this last secret is hidden and what is the last secret. And
I remember when God of War 2018 came out, Cory Barlog was very loud on Twitter being like, there are a lot of Easter eggs in this game, and like tweet them at me when you find them. And I remember a little bit, like it had been a few months after launch, and he was like, just so you guys know, like there's one more Easter egg that no one has found. And it wasn't until like I think it was in like 2020 when he was like, "Hey, it was finally found in this." I don't remember what the Easter egg was, but I think that shit is so fascinating. That I love that they pour so much of themselves into these games that they put shit that they want you to try to find. And yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so that's it. Let us know what conspiracy theories, urban legends we didn't talk about, because I'm sure, as Kamen brought up a couple, there are a lot more out there. These are just the ones that caught my eye. Also, McLean with it in the chat, get fucked. Trying to steal my boy to go play DBD. Fucking unbelievable.
Hey, you know what? Guess what? If you've got PlayStation Premium, DBD is free to download through the PlayStation Premium catalog. So if you want to come play with us, guess what?
Hey, look, let's wrap it up. We're here. I'll let you go. Let's bring it back. I'll let you go to be with your real friends to play some DBD. But let's end the game.
Why aren't you playing DBD with us, Patrick?
I mean, I could. I don't have shit to do tonight. I can play DBD.
You should go ahead and just hit the little button on your phone and then get that shit on. And
so I have it downloaded on my Xbox. If I have it on the Xbox, can I play with you guys, or do I need to download it on the PlayStation?
Cross-platform, baby.
Yeah, I'm down to play because I've never played before. Let's close out the show with updating the calendar for the rest of this year. New updates that have come out since last week's show. On Game Pass today, you can get A Plague Tale Requiem. As of Thursday, when this comes out, you can get Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth, Phantom Abyss, and Soma. As of the 21st, Friday, you can get Persona 5 Royal on Xbox Game Pass. And on the 27th, you can get Frog Detective, The Entire Mystery, which I know you're very excited about, Kamen. You can get Gunfire Reborn and a game called Signalis, which I believe is an erectile dysfunction pill.
Yes.
Also today, they announced that the DualSense Edge controller, which is like the pro controller of the PlayStation 5, is coming January 26th for the fucking high price of $199 US. Mortal Kombat Onslaught has been announced for 2023. The reason we didn't talk about it in the show, because it's a mobile game. But it is being made by NetherRealm, produced by them. So maybe it won't be bullshit, but it's probably bullshit. Out this Friday, we've talked about this, but I'll just reiterate. Gotham Knights, new Tales from the Borderlands, and then out today, Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed and Scorn. It was out last week. And then for the folks that are live, if anyone is interested, tomorrow, so Wednesday, so yesterday, as of when this goes live for you podcast folks, there is a Silent Hill showcase. We're going to be getting to know the future of Silent Hill. So we'll get to close out Spooklight Games Month next week with some Silent Hill news as we do the bracket. And then Thursday of this week, a Resident Evil showcase. They're going to update us on Resident Evil 4 Remake and the Resident Evil 8 DLC coming later this year. So check a look if that interests you. Kamen, what a joyous occasion it was to bring you back on the show after a week in Milwaukee. Woo. And among other places. Kamen, where can the folks at home follow you so they can keep up with all your shenanigans?
They can follow me at Kid Kamen on Instagram or on Twitter. They can follow me at Kamen Darty. If you can spell it, you can find me there on Instagram. If you want to check out Save Trash Cinema, all of our socials are Save Trash Cinema. So you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, even TikTok. We never post on TikTok, but you can find us there if you want to see a couple fun little clips that we have posted, and OnlyFans where we show our feet.
Yep. Oh yeah. You can follow our pod, Spotlight Games Pod, on Twitter at Spot Games Pod. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Spotlight Games Pod, and you can follow us on Twitch at the same Spotlight Games Pod. 8 p.m. Eastern Tuesdays for the live recording. Get in the chat like Liz, like Terry, like John. What a great show.
What a great show.
Let's get the fuck out of here. I want to go play some DBD with my buds. So, hey,
Patrick.
What's up?
Remember,